Welcome to the Tyranny of Hope, where we bridge the gap between therapy and everyday life. I'm Wes Breedlove, your host, and this podcast is all about putting therapeutic concepts into practice. Each episode, we'll tackle real-world challenges, from setting boundaries to healing trauma, from mending relationships to overcoming addictions. You'll hear from counselors and learn practical strategies you can use right away. So whether you're in therapy or just focused on personal growth, you're in the right place. Let's turn hope into action and make real progress together. This is the Tyranny of Hope. Welcome to the Tyranny of Hope. I'm your host, Wes Breedlove, and today we're going to be exploring how the intense political climate in America is affecting our mental health and how we can protect our peace amidst it all. Whether it's election season or everyday political conversations, the environment can feel overwhelming and stressful. And we'll be hearing insights from leaders like Tim Keller, Cornel West, Brene Brown, and others to guide us through. Our current political landscape isn't just about policy. It's deeply personal for many people. Social media and the 24-hour news cycle keeps us plugged in to a loop of anxiety and anger and fear. Jonathan Haidt, a social psychologist who studies political and moral divisions, points out in his book, The Righteous Mind, that people don't base their political views purely on rational thought. They're driven by deeper moral intuitions and emotions. This insight helps us explain why these conversations can become so heated and emotionally charged, further impacting our mental health. And it's not just the disagreement itself that's troubling. Brene Brown talks about how political discourse often triggers feelings of shame and vulnerability. She says, when we dehumanize others based on political beliefs, we're actually engaging in behaviors that isolate us from meaningful connection. And her call for vulnerability and courageous conversations is a good reminder of how damaging polarization can be, not just for the political system, but for our own mental well-being. So how do we navigate difficult political conversations? How do we maintain relationships with people we disagree with while protecting our own mental health? David French, a political commentator, has spent years navigating these divides. He advocates for approaching conversations with humility and grace. He states, "We can disagree passionately, but we must never lose sight of the humanity of the person we're speaking with." His approach echoes Tim Keller's call to maintain grace in political discussions. Tim says, if you take a stance that allows no room for discussion, you not only alienate others, but you harden your own heart. Brene Brown, again, also advises us to set boundaries to protect ourselves emotionally. She says, it's okay to step back when a conversation is becoming harmful. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about making sure we stay grounded in our values. Let's face it, constantly consuming political news can lead to what's known as news fatigue, and it can have a real impact on our mental health. Krista Tippett, host of On Being, often talks about how information overload can create a sense of despair and disconnection. She encourages people to pause and engage with the world in a way that prioritizes our well-being rather than just reacting to the latest crisis. This speaks directly to the importance of setting boundaries around news consumption. Arthur Brooks, the social scientist who focuses on happiness and well-being, advises taking a more measured approach. He says, if you want to stay informed without being overwhelmed, set specific times to check the news. Don't let it dominate your entire day. He often highlights the idea that happiness isn't found in constant political engagement, but in relationships and personal purpose. So in the midst of all this division, how do we find hope and a sense of purpose? How do we move beyond the exhaustion that politics can bring into our lives? Krista Tippett offers good wisdom here, saying that hope is not optimism. It is choosing to see the world through a lens that acknowledges pain but also recognizes possibility. We can acknowledge the difficulties we face without giving in to despair. Arthur Brooks adds another perspective, saying that you can't fix the world, but you can create a better environment for yourself and those around you. Focus on what you can control: your own behavior, your relationships, your community. And that is like the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And this ties back to mental health, reminding us that while we can't control the larger political system, we can make a difference in the lives we touch. Thank you for joining me on this brief episode of the Tyranny of Hope. And today we've heard from voices like Jonathan Haidt, Brene Brown, David French, Arthur Brooks, Krista Tippett, Tim Keller, all offering us tools to navigate the political turbulence of our time. As we wrap up, remember that while you can't control the world's problems, you can control how you engage with them. As David French said, we can disagree without dehumanizing each other. I hope you leave this conversation with a few more tools to protect your peace and approach political conversations with both courage and compassion. Until next time, be sure to leave a rating or a like, a follow. And until next time, take good care, be gentle with yourself, and be gentle with others.